Back at the Brudenell Social Club, which is where we played his first shows about 6 years ago, and we're here to play the first record and the early demos.
It's been a little shaky really, but you know, sure it'll be alright on the night, as they say. But definitely not that confident with them all. Some of the songs that we haven't played in years and years, you know. So
I don't even know most of them. But until that barrier showed up, I thought it was gonna be a fun gig anyway. You know, like whatever, like anyone can do what they want, you know, and just like have a laugh. Like now that's it. Adds a certain air of, you know, adulteration and professionalism to it. Both of which they aren't going to get from me, you know what I mean?
We've got a 48-track recording of tonight's events. Very compact, just about enough room to shut the door and hear something through your headphones, just about.
It just feels really nice. It was like a nice kind of Christmassy vibe, I think.
I am Father Cribsmas.
We're kind of celebrating the history of the Cribs across 3 records, and kind of each night it's they've just been playing the records in their entirety, and all the B-sides and bonus tracks from those eras.
We just have so many songs that we have to learn, and then when you're doing one set one night and one set the next night, you kind of forget sort of what you're doing. There's definitely some I'm not feeling fantastic about.
We've done the whole thing in aid of cystic fibrosis, and we're going to raise a load of money for them and stuff, which is great. It's nice to do something that the band are so sort of proud to recreate these records, and proud to essentially step back in time and play those tunes again, but actually do it for a good cause.
You know, the nature of the beast, basically, you know, and like, we're going to try and play all these songs, but we're not necessarily going to be able to play some of them. And that's just the way that it is.
there's a song from the very first practice that the Cribs ever had tonight as well. It's called Song from Practice 1. We'll see how it goes. Should be good fun anyway, you know. I mean, quite nervous, more nervous than I've been for a while.
Joel appreciate the old school stylings of the Cribs right now. You're excited to this is going to be the first record in its entirety. And if you want to sing along, then please feel free to do so. I'd just like to welcome Russell from the Research playing keyboards for this song.
Alright, here we go then. It's time to feel right.
they've kind of decided to recreate it as close as they can to those years and everything. So they're using the equipment from those eras. They're pulling out old clothes and doing everything true to its original form.
We wanted to wear the same clothes that we wore on other records, but like I look at the state of them and I think, man, how do I wear these clothes for any period of my life? You know what I mean? It's like that is frankly obnoxious, really, isn't it? You don't need to see anyone wearing those. But I think I might wear them. And that's where you cut the shot, really.
That's going on tonight, is that, yeah? I think I bought it in Camden one time, a long time ago,
Well, my outfit was never fancy. Well, I used to wear like a black t-shirt with a lightning bolt on it, which I do still have, but I just can't find it. I looked for it all day today. But and then the only other thing I used to wear on the first album was a Union Jack t-shirt, but I lost that at Death Disco.
I'm wearing regular clothes. I'm not going to go back to like what I used to wear. I'm not going to do it that faithful. You should wear that just for the
I like the idea of
B-sides.
this whole thing being like so nerdily recreated.
Playing the same guitars and stuff like that. Yeah. The really nice, like pretty old Mustangs, which they're way nicer than the piece of shit bass I have now. But they're just my new bass. I need something that can just take a bit more stick, whereas those Mustangs just can't do it. So.
Oh no! In fact, I have the fucking perfect shirt for tonight, man. I've got the perfect fucking shirt.
That's the one.
yeah.
Back for one.
I wear that on the front cover of the.
Wear it for album, yeah?
That's on the front cover of the first record, isn't it?
The best bit about it is putting it on. He's like, do you know what, this T-shirt, right? I've got a photo of me and Gaz as newborn babies, like proper newborn babies, like sat on my grand's garden, and that's on the washing line.
Yeah, it is.
This T-shirt is on the washing line.
since about 2002. We used to be in a band, and we did a gig with the Cribs. And then from that point onwards, we started a small record label and released their first ever 7-inch single.
Split single with Jen Shand, and their side was Baby Don't Sweat and You and I.
Yeah.
It was on blue vinyl, and there were about 12 pressed or something. Very limited.
300 copies only. They're out and about somewhere. They sell for quite a lot these days, though, so if you've got one, keep hold of it because it's a bit of a collector's piece. They re-recorded them for the album, so the versions on the single are actually slightly different to the ones on the album. The ones on the album are a little more lo-fi.
They used to play here, and there were about 8 people watching them, and it was really a bit demoralising. And now they've come here, and everyone's paying, and everyone's really having a good time. And the first night particularly, everyone was there with a massive smile on their face. It was just a really, really good gig.
It's just really, really good to come and play somewhere like this so that the older fans can see them, and then the newer fans as well. Everybody can just get together in the same room and just see them play these songs. Everybody's got their own personal favourites,
And also to be in a position to do a gig and make such a big donation to a charity.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, right from the word go, we just said that the Cribs deserve to be a really, really big band, and there's loads of people to see them. And we just wish that we had the budget in the record label to be able to produce more singles for them, really. But I mean, I like to think that in a little way we helped to get it started.
No one thinks about tomorrow than I do. You won't let me find you. How am I gonna get through? I was certain I took like a fool. You were drunk and unbelievable. You won't find a friend who knows you like I do.
I've been promoting gigs in Leeds since about 2001, and that was I started off doing like a nightclub called Strange Ways, and then from there I used to start putting bands on, and I got a letter from like Gary, which I've still got, which basically said we really like all the stuff that you're doing, because at the time I was putting on things like Comet Gain, who we really liked, and other such bands, and basically sent me this promo CD. When he sent it to me, I got it confused with another band's CD, and I just never. I listened to this other CD and not the Cribs one, and when they asked me what I thought, I just thought it was this other CD. Then like 6 months, and I didn't really give them any feedback. Then like 6 months later, I actually listened to it again. I was like, fuck, this is really good. So, and then like, I was like, oh, you know, you've got to come and play as soon as I can. Some of the songs which they haven't released from that CD, I've always thought, fuck, these are really good songs. They should be, you know, they should be releasing them. But, you know, they never bothered with some of them. But like, you know, it's all, that 8-track CD is really good, and I still like listen to it. I did this event called like Go Johnny Go 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 Go, which is like a weekend at Joseph's Well with loads of bands on, and you know I put them on in front of like about 18 people before. I put them on in a squat that was about 2002. Groups of us used to just go and see them play wherever we could, and you know see them play like Manchester, Sheffield. Went to Cardiff with them in a van, which was quite, you know, that was pretty chaotic. It's just like a shitload of us just in the back of a van with no seats or anything, but you know, it's just loads of fun. But yeah, I've just like all the live shows are just full of passion, and it's just, you know, it's just all the energy is always there. And it's just like I've never seen a gig which you'd say was like lackluster or not, you know, really entertaining.
You should be ashamed of yourself. He's had that t-shirt for... That t-shirt's like 30 years old. He had it from before he was born. God damn it.
Let's
sign all of this.
That's some great signals there. The idea is just to get the audience involved and just have a bit of fun and do stuff which you don't normally get at other gigs. And like, you know, if you're doing like getting everyone to do like pass the parcel or bingo, it's just a bit of fun and everyone just wants to have a bit of a laugh.
I feel like a bit of a dick. I can't think of like the right sort of slogan that would do this like justice. Just so people can win prizes, like, you know, just makes things a little more, just like less gig like.
Hello, does everyone know how to play bingo?
Okay, eyes down for your first number. 5 and 5, 55. 5 and 3, 53. Give me something saucy, Johnny. You ask and then you get like 6 and 9, 69. Thank the Lord, we are a winner.
We feel like now when we go on tour, there's certain things that become protocol, you know, and we're bored of it. It's like, it's just good to get back to stuff like this. It's like the stuff that you did in the early days, stuff that were fun, the reason why you wanted to do it, you know.
The next thing is original prints of the photographs from the artwork by the photographer. So it's actually a pretty cool prize.
The guy who took the photographs for the first record and second record is a photographer from Wakefield.
That's from like the first record. There's a guy called Bob Taylor. It's like, that's from before we were signed when we played at a bar in Wakefield, and he took the photo and we used it in the artwork, and now he's done a print of it to, you know, raffle off charity, and then same for the third record, you know, he took the photo from that. And, yeah.
Whoa, Okay, so at this point of the night, we should give thanks to Wichita Recordings for releasing this album. And this next song was originally released by Leeds' very own Squirrel Records.
Leeds' best independent label.
One of the few independents left in Leeds, regardless of what you might hear about other labels, not Squirrel.
But Squirrel put out uncompromising records that you can believe in, man.
Okay, then we've got a competition called Barman versus Jarman, which takes place at the bar when you've got a minute to pour as many pints as you can. And it's Gary's turn tonight. So if you want a free pint, I'll probably hang around the bar.
I think there should have been a sign for it, actually, you know what I mean? I think they should have made a sign for it. Which they would have done, but Gaz wouldn't say, wouldn't say one way or another whether or not he wanted to do it. It's basically, Gaz, or any one of us, like, as long as the second name's Jarman, against one of the bar staff at the Brudenell, so you can pull the most pints in 2 minutes or something. But all those pints have got to go somewhere, you know what I mean? I guess it's just gonna, it's like, I think it's gonna be fun.
I'm pulling pints against one of the barmen, apparently.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Fine! Come on, McElroy! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The winner is the barman!
How many pints did he pull?
8.
Hey, I got. How many pints did I pull?
6.
Alright, well, I pulled good pints anyway.
Thanks a lot, Leeds. And thanks for coming out. Thanks to everyone who came out and supported us. This is about those who supported our first fucking record, man. I want to say thanks to Franz Ferdinand for getting involved. It's a very noble cause, anyway. So, happy Christmas, everyone. And this song is for everyone who saw us finish our set with this, like in the first couple of years of our career, man. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a few of you. If there is, I hope you give it due respect.
What's the best thing about you? It's not the place, it's the people. But you wouldn't know, 'cause some people know. It's pretty funny.
already played many times. Yeah, one more time again. For the last time ever, I'm willing to bet. And it's Sir Darling. Yeah! Woo! Lift that red beat!
It reminded me so much of those, like stuff like.
It was brilliant. That was
Village
brilliant.
Green and stuff.
Some of my favourite.
Yeah,
some of my favourite Cribs songs ever are on that record.
Yeah. It was like
Big
watching
Nick
the
Cribs.
stand up.
Big Nick fucking hell, they stand up.
But like,
some of the best songs on
it's
that
just
record
so
just
cool.
sound
It really is.
It's strange having to play to a regimented set list, you know, when you have no choice, but it seemed fun. Like it's nice to play songs that you don't play that often. And when it's songs that you play all the time, you don't feel the same about it really, because you're so used to playing them. It's more fun to play the songs you don't play that often, and you're like, you just get into that, and then you play a single again, and you're like, that feels different. I mean, obviously people knew the first record, but it was nice to see that there were like, you know, a few people who knew the first demo, that demo was not ever distributed. We give out like maybe 10 of those. So I guess it made it onto the internet, and it's like so weird to see like people know those songs, you know. That's really unexpected for us, because we literally made that on our own. We made CDs on our own, and I have no idea how it ended up out there, you know. So that's a weird feeling. It's kind of scary as well, but it's nice but weird.
It was nice, you know what I mean? I think it was quite...
Did it feel emotional?
In some ways it did, yeah. I think that like you know, there was definitely a massive nostalgia running throughout the entire thing. Where I was thinking, like, especially playing on my old guitar, and like, you know, like playing with a certain amount of nonchalance is like, you know, once you get into, you know, when you've been doing it for ages and you start doing like big venues, you kind of forget about that fucking, you know, that rush of just playing for the sake of it, you know what I mean? Like that, this felt more like just playing, you know, just playing for a laugh. smoother mic, actually.